She was called defective and thrown away, but 9 years later she held his dying heart in her hands, along with the secret of 3 children he never knew existed. Hi, my beautiful family. Today I want to share a truly beautiful story with you. Please don't skip it. Watch until the end because it will touch your heart deeply. If you like these kinds of stories, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a heartbeat. Also, we are so curious, where in the world are you watching from today? Please drop a comment with your city or country below. We love seeing how far our beautiful family reaches. Now, let's begin this story with love. Some words cut deeper than any surgeon's blade. Dr. Sinclair, we need you in OR3 immediately. VIP patient, massive MI, needs emergency triple bypass. Dr. Vanessa Sinclair looked up from her patient charts, her calm demeanor never wavering despite the urgency in the nurse's voice. At 34, she was one of the youngest chief cardiac surgeons in the country, known for her steady hands and her ability to save patients other doctors had written off. Vitals? She asked, already moving toward the surgical wing. Critical but stable. Patient's name is Marcus Donovan. Apparently, he's some big-shot CEO. Vanessa stopped dead in her tracks. The clipboard in her hands suddenly felt impossibly heavy. What did you say? Marcus Donovan. You know him? His people are demanding the best surgeon available. Chief Martinez said that's you. Vanessa's mind raced back 9 years, to the last time she'd heard that name spoken aloud. The same name that had been on divorce papers, citing her failure to provide an heir as grounds for dissolution of marriage. The same man who had called her defective and barren before tossing her aside like damaged goods. 9 years earlier. The penthouse overlooking Boston Harbor felt more like a museum than a home. Pristine white walls, carefully curated artwork that cost more than most people's houses, silence that echoed with loneliness. Vanessa Sinclair Donovan sat in the formal living room, staring at the negative pregnancy test in her trembling hands. The 15th one in 3 years of marriage. Another failure. Nothing again? Marcus's voice cut through the silence like ice. He stood in the doorway of his home office, his 6'2" frame imposing in his perfectly tailored Armani suit. At 33, Marcus Donovan was the youngest CEO in his company's history, worth over $3 billion and accustomed to getting everything he wanted. Everything except the one thing that mattered most to his family legacy. The doctor said we should give it more time, Vanessa said quietly, not looking up from the test. My hormone levels are improving, and with the new fertility treatments, it's been 3 years, Vanessa. Marcus's voice was cold, clinical. 3 years of treatments, specialists, procedures. Maybe it's time to accept the truth. What truth? That you can't give me what I need. The words hit Vanessa like a physical blow. She finally looked up at her husband, searching his face for any trace of the man who had once held her while she cried after each miscarriage, who had whispered promises that they would figure it out together. That man was long gone. What I need? Vanessa's voice rose with hurt and anger. What about what we need? What about our marriage, our love for each other? Marcus adjusted his cufflinks, a gesture Vanessa had learned meant he was about to say something that would hurt her. Love doesn't continue the Donovan legacy. Love doesn't provide heirs for the company my great-grandfather built. I'm not a broodmare, Marcus. I'm your wife. You're supposed to be both. His gray eyes were cold as winter steel. My grandmother was right. I should have married someone from our circle, someone with a proven family line. Vanessa felt her heart shatter a little more. Your grandmother has hated me from day one because I'm not from old money, because my father was a mechanic and my mother was a nurse, because you can't do the one job that matters. Marcus moved toward his bar cart, pouring himself a scotch with steady hands. Victoria Ashford is engaged to Thomas Rothschild. They're already planning children. Jennifer Sterling just gave birth to twins. Even Catherine Hayes, who's barely 25, is pregnant with her second child. Each name felt like a dagger. These were the women Marcus's family had wanted him to marry, the society princesses who came with the right pedigree and, apparently, working reproductive systems. So that's it? Vanessa stood up, her hands shaking. 3 years of marriage reduced to my failure to get pregnant? It's not personal, Vanessa. Not personal? Vanessa's voice cracked. You're talking about divorce because I can't have children and it's not personal? Marcus took a long sip of his scotch before meeting her eyes. You're a beautiful, intelligent woman. You'll find someone who doesn't need what I need from a wife. Someone who can love you as you are. And what am I, Marcus? Defective goods? You're barren. The word fell between them like a bomb. And I can't spend the rest of my life married to someone who can't give me children. Vanessa stared at her husband in shock. The man she had fallen in love with 5 years ago, who had courted her with poetry and flowers, who had promised to love her in sickness and in health, had just reduced her to her biological functions. Get out, she whispered. Vanessa.
Get out. Her voice echoed through the cavernous room. Get out of this room. Get out of my sight. And don't you dare try to touch me or comfort me or pretend you have any decency left. Marcus set down his glass and straightened his tie. I'll have my lawyer contact yours tomorrow. I'll be generous in the settlement. I don't want your money. You'll take it. You'll need it to start over. His tone was matter-of-fact, as if they were discussing a business transaction. I've already spoken to Catherine Hayes. We'll be announcing our engagement next month. The room spun around Vanessa as the full scope of his betrayal hit her. You've already chosen my replacement? I've chosen someone who can give me what I need. Someone who can breed for you, you mean? Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Catherine is 26, from a good family, and her mother had 5 children with no complications. You've researched her fertility like you're buying livestock. I've done my due diligence, something I should have done before I married you. Vanessa felt the last piece of her heart break. I loved you. I loved you more than anything in this world. Love isn't enough anymore. It was never enough for you. Marcus moved toward the door, then paused. You're a good woman, Vanessa. You deserve someone who can appreciate what you have to offer. And what do I have to offer in your expert opinion? Beauty, intelligence, kindness. He paused. Just not fertility. Get out of my house. It's my house. Then I'll leave. 3 weeks later, Vanessa signed divorce papers in a lawyer's office downtown, her signature shaky with tears and residual heartbreak. Marcus hadn't even bothered to attend the meeting, sending his attorney to handle what he clearly viewed as an unpleasant but necessary business transaction. 2 weeks after that, Vanessa was throwing up in her new apartment's tiny bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test with a mixture of joy and terror. She was pregnant. After 3 years of trying, countless treatments, and the devastating end of her marriage, her body had finally done what everyone said it couldn't do. She was carrying Marcus Donovan's child. The strongest hearts are often the most broken ones that refuse to stop beating. Present day, Boston General Hospital. Dr. Sinclair, are you all right? Vanessa snapped back to the present, realizing she'd been standing frozen in the hallway while medical staff bustled around her. She forced her professional mask back into place, the one that had served her well through medical school, residency, and 9 years of rebuilding her life from scratch. I'm fine. What's the patient's current status? Pressure's dropping. We need to get him into surgery now. Vanessa nodded, her mind shifting into the clinical focus that had made her one of the most sought-after cardiac surgeons on the East Coast. Whatever her personal history with Marcus Donovan, right now he was just another patient whose life depended on her skill. Prep OR3. I'll scrub in immediately. Notify anesthesiology that we're dealing with a complex triple bypass on a patient with significant arterial blockage. Yes, doctor. As Vanessa walked toward the surgical suite, she caught a glimpse of herself in the hallway mirror. Gone was the uncertain young woman who'd left Boston 9 years ago. In her place stood a confident surgeon with purpose in her stride and steel in her spine. She had built this life through sheer determination, 16-hour study days, countless nights when she wanted to quit but couldn't because she had 3 little lives depending on her success. The thought of her children, Marcus's children, sent a familiar pang through her chest. Emma, Lucas, and Olivia were 8 years old now, brilliant and beautiful, and completely unaware that their father was about to be under her knife. "Dr. Sinclair," called Dr. Martinez, the chief of staff, as she approached the surgical wing. "I wanted to brief you on this case personally. The patient is high profile and there's likely to be media attention." "I understand. What's his medical history?" "No previous cardiac issues, but significant stress-related factors. He collapsed during a board meeting, went into full cardiac arrest. The paramedics got him back, but the damage is extensive." "I see. Any family members here?" "A fiancée, Catherine Hayes. She's been quite vocal about her expectations for his care." Vanessa's stomach dropped. Catherine Hayes, the woman Marcus left her for, the one he'd chosen for her proven fertility. After 9 years, they were still together, still building the perfect society life that Vanessa hadn't been able to provide. "I see. Well, regardless of family dynamics, the patient will receive the best possible care. That's why you're handling the case, Vanessa. You're the best we have." 20 minutes later, Vanessa stood in OR 3, her hands steady as she made the first incision into Marcus Donovan's chest. He looked older than his 42 years, stress lines marking his face even in unconsciousness. His dark hair was streaked with silver now, and he'd lost some of the arrogant vitality that used to define him. "Patient stable," announced the anesthesiologist. "Ready to proceed. Beginning arterial bypass. First graft to the LAD." For the next 4 hours, Vanessa worked with the precision and focus that had made her legendary among her colleagues. She rerouted Marcus's blocked arteries, gave his heart new pathways for blood flow, and essentially rebuilt the organ that had failed him. It was ironic, she reflected, that the woman he'd discarded as defective was now the person holding his life in her hands. "Final sutures completed," Vanessa announced as the surgery neared the end. "Patient's vitals are strong. The bypasses are functioning perfectly." "Excellent work, Dr. Sinclair," her surgical resident said. "You saved his life." Vanessa looked down at Marcus's unconscious face, feeling a complex mixture of emotions she couldn't quite name. "That's what we do here. We save lives, regardless of personal history." As they prepared to move Marcus to recovery, Vanessa removed her surgical gloves and mask. In a few hours, he would wake up to find the woman he'd thrown away standing over his hospital bed. The woman who had just given him a second chance of life. She wondered if he would recognize her immediately, or if success had changed her as much as it seemed to have aged him. "Dr. Sinclair," her surgical nurse approached with a clipboard. "The patient's fiancée is asking for an update. She's been quite persistent." "I'll speak with her shortly. First, I want to check on Mr. Donovan's post-operative status." As Vanessa left the ICU where Marcus was being settled, she nearly collided with a woman in the hallway. A very pregnant woman with perfectly styled blonde hair and enough diamonds to fund a small hospital wing.
"Excuse me," the woman said imperiously. "Are you the surgeon who operated on Marcus Donovan?" Vanessa found herself face to face with Catherine Hayes for the first time in 9 years. She looked exactly as Vanessa remembered, beautiful in a cold porcelain doll way, with the kind of ageless perfection that money could buy. "I'm Dr. Sinclair, Mr. Donovan's cardiac surgeon. You must be Miss Hayes." "Mrs. Donovan, actually. We married 6 months ago." Catherine's hand moved protectively to her swollen belly. "I'm carrying his heir." The words hit Vanessa like a physical blow, but her professional training kept her expression neutral. "Congratulations. Your husband's surgery was successful. He should make a full recovery." "How long before he can return to work? He has several important board meetings this week."
Vanessa stared at this woman who spoke about Marcus's major surgery like it was a minor inconvenience to their social calendar. "Mrs. Donovan, your husband just underwent a triple bypass. He'll be in the hospital for at least a week, followed by several weeks of cardiac rehabilitation. He won't be returning to his normal schedule for at least 2 months." 2 months? That's impossible. He's launching a new product line, and there's the Hayes Foundation Gala next month. "I'm sorry, but your husband's heart nearly killed him today. He needs time to heal, or he could suffer another potentially fatal cardiac event." Catherine's face flushed with irritation. "I don't think you understand who my husband is. He's Marcus Donovan, CEO of Donovan Technologies. He doesn't have time for an extended recovery. And I'm Dr. Vanessa Sinclair, the surgeon who just saved his life. He'll recover according to medical necessity, not social obligations." Something flickered in Catherine's eyes, a moment of recognition perhaps, though Vanessa wasn't sure if the woman even remembered her existence. "Sinclair," Catherine repeated slowly. "That name sounds familiar." "I need to check on other patients. You can see your husband once he's fully conscious, but I want to limit visitors while he's stabilizing." Vanessa walked away before Catherine could respond, her heart pounding with a mixture of anger and old pain. So Marcus had gotten everything he wanted, the society wife, the baby, the perfect life he'd thrown her away to achieve. She wondered if he was happy, if Catherine Hayes was worth destroying their marriage. She wondered if he ever thought about the woman he'd called barren and defective, or if she'd been completely erased from his memory the moment the divorce was finalized. Most of all, she wondered what he would say when he woke up and found her standing over his bed, the successful surgeon he'd never believed she could become. "Mommy!" Vanessa's contemplation was interrupted by a familiar voice echoing down the hospital corridor. She turned to see her 8-year-old daughter Emma running toward her, dark curls bouncing with each step. Behind her came Lucas and Olivia, fraternal twins who shared their father's gray eyes and analytical minds. "Em, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with Mrs. Chen." "She had to pick up her grandson from school, so she brought us here instead," Lucas explained with logical precision. "We're supposed to wait in the family lounge until you're done with surgery." Vanessa's heart clenched as she looked at her 3 children, Marcus's children, standing in the same hospital where their father lay recovering from surgery. He didn't even know they existed. Emma had Marcus's gray eyes and stubborn chin, along with Vanessa's artistic temperament. Lucas was the leader of the 3, with Marcus's analytical mind and natural authority. Olivia was the gentle one, bookish and thoughtful, with Marcus's intelligence but Vanessa's empathetic nature. They were perfect, beautiful, brilliant children who had grown up believing their father was simply someone who couldn't be part of their lives. "How did surgery go, sweetheart?" "It went well, sweetheart. The patient will be fine." "You look sad," Emma observed with the directness that made her such a gifted artist. "Did something happen?" Vanessa knelt down to her children's level, studying their faces, Marcus's eyes, Marcus's bone structure, Marcus's intelligence looking back at her. "Sometimes taking care of people brings up complicated feelings, but I'm not sad. I'm grateful that I could help someone who needed it." As Vanessa hugged her children, she caught sight of Catherine Hayes watching them from down the hallway. The woman's eyes were fixed on the triplets with an expression Vanessa couldn't quite read. Curiosity, perhaps, or something else entirely.
Some secrets are too big to stay buried forever. 1 hour later, Marcus Donovan opened his eyes slowly, consciousness returning in waves. The first thing he noticed was the steady beeping of medical equipment. The second was the antiseptic smell that meant he was in a hospital. The third was the dull ache in his chest where someone had obviously performed major surgery. "Welcome back, Mr. Donovan." The voice was familiar, hauntingly so, but it couldn't be who he thought it was. Marcus turned his head toward the sound and felt his world tilt on its axis. Dr. Vanessa Sinclair stood beside his bed, medical chart in hand, looking nothing like the broken woman who had left Boston 9 years ago. She was taller somehow, more confident, with an air of professional authority that commanded respect.
Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she wore scrubs with the easy comfort of someone who belonged in them. She was beautiful, more beautiful than he remembered, with a strength and purpose that radiated from her very presence. Vanessa. His voice was rough from the breathing tube, but the disbelief was clear. Dr. Sinclair, she corrected, not moving closer to his bed. I performed your cardiac surgery this afternoon, triple bypass. The procedure was successful, and your prognosis is excellent. Marcus stared at her, trying to process what he was seeing. You're a doctor. I'm a surgeon. Chief of cardiac surgery, actually. How? When did you... I finished medical school 4 years after our divorce, completed my residency in record time. I've been practicing here for 3 years. Her tone was clinical, professional, giving away nothing of what she might be feeling. Marcus tried to sit up, but the pain in his chest and the IV line stopped him. Vanessa, I can't believe. You saved my life. I did my job. Nothing more, nothing less. Your job? Marcus's mind was still foggy from anesthesia, but he could hear the ice in her voice. Vanessa, we need to talk. There's so much I need to say to you. We have nothing to discuss beyond your medical care. Vanessa moved to his bedside monitor, checking his vital signs with practiced efficiency. Your heart rate is elevated. You need to remain calm during your recovery. How can I remain calm? My ex-wife, who I haven't seen in 9 years, just performed surgery on me. The woman He stopped himself, uncertain how to finish that sentence. The woman you what, Marcus? The woman you divorced for being barren? The woman you called defective? For the first time, emotion crept into Vanessa's voice. You were very clear about my inadequacies 9 years ago. Marcus closed his eyes, the memories of their final confrontation flooding back with painful clarity. I was wrong about everything. I was so wrong. Yes, you were, but that's ancient history now. Is it? Because seeing you here like this, Vanessa, you're amazing. You became everything I always knew you could be. I became everything I needed to be for myself. I'm proud of you. Vanessa's laugh was bitter. Your pride means nothing to me, Marcus. I don't need your validation or approval. I stopped needing anything from you the day you signed our divorce papers. Vanessa, please, can we just talk? Really talk? About what? About how you were right to leave me? About how Catherine Hayes turned out to be the perfect wife you needed? Marcus's face went pale. You know about Catherine. I met your wife in the hallway. Congratulations on your marriage and your upcoming child. You got everything you wanted. Did I? Marcus's voice was quiet, uncertain. I thought I did, but seeing you now... Don't. Vanessa's voice was sharp with warning. Don't you dare start with regrets and what-ifs. You made your choice 9 years ago. You chose someone who could give you children over someone who loved you unconditionally. I made the biggest mistake of my life. You made the choice that was right for you, and it worked out perfectly. You have a beautiful, fertile wife and a baby on the way. The Donovan legacy is secure. Marcus studied Vanessa's face, looking for any crack in her professional composure. Are you happy? Did you find someone who deserved you? My personal life is none of your business. Are you married? Mr. Donovan, I need to remind you that I'm your doctor, not your ex-wife. Our relationship is purely professional. You can't just pretend our history doesn't exist. I can, and I will. What exists between us is irrelevant to your medical care. The door to Marcus's room opened, and Catherine Hayes entered with the confidence of someone accustomed to getting her way. Marcus, darling, you're awake. Catherine moved to his bedside, pointedly ignoring Vanessa's presence. I've been so worried. The doctor said you nearly died. I'm fine, Catherine. Thanks to Dr. Sinclair. Catherine finally acknowledged Vanessa with a cool nod. Yes, thank you for doing your job. When can my husband be discharged? We have several important commitments this week. Your husband will be discharged when he is medically stable and ready for release, not before. I don't think you understand the importance of my husband's schedule, and I don't think you understand the seriousness of your husband's condition. Vanessa's voice remained professional, but there was steel underneath. He suffered a massive heart attack. His recovery can't be rushed for social obligations. Catherine's eyes narrowed. Marcus, who is this woman? She seems to think she can dictate our personal schedule. Catherine, Dr. Sinclair is one of the best cardiac surgeons in the country. We need to follow her medical advice. I see. Catherine's tone suggested she saw more than she was saying. Well, doctor, I hope you understand that my husband is a very important man. His company depends on his leadership. His company won't benefit from his death, Mrs. Donovan. I suggest you encourage him to prioritize his health over his business obligations. With that, Vanessa turned and walked out of the room, leaving Marcus staring after her with a mixture of admiration and regret.
3 days later, Marcus's recovery was progressing ahead of schedule. He found himself looking forward to Dr. Sinclair's twice-daily rounds with an anticipation that had nothing to do with his medical condition and everything to do with the woman who had once been the center of his world. "Your vitals are excellent," Vanessa said on Thursday morning, reviewing his chart with the same professional detachment she'd maintained since his surgery. "The surgical sites are healing well and your heart rhythm is strong. When can I go home?" "If you continue progressing at this rate, possibly by the weekend, but you'll need to follow strict activity restrictions and attend cardiac rehabilitation." Marcus nodded, watching her face for any sign of the woman he'd once known. "Vanessa, can I ask you something? If it's medical in nature." "It is, in a way." Marcus paused, gathering courage. "Did you always want to be a surgeon, even when we were married?" Vanessa's pen stopped moving across his chart. "That's not relevant to your current care. I'm curious about what motivated you to choose such a demanding field." "Medicine chose me, not the other way around." Her voice carried a note of finality that suggested the conversation was over. "I remember you always being interested in how things worked, how to fix things that were broken." "Some things can't be fixed, Mr. Donovan. They can only be replaced or removed." The words hung in the air between them, loaded with meaning that had nothing to do with cardiac surgery. Marcus was about to respond when he caught sight of 3 children through the window of his hospital room door. 2 girls and a boy, all appearing to be around 8 years old. They were talking to Vanessa in the hallway, and as Marcus studied them more closely, his blood ran cold. One of the girls had his eyes, his exact gray eyes, along with his mother's stubborn chin. The boy shared his dark hair and the analytical expression Marcus recognized from his own childhood photos. The other girl was quieter, more reserved, but when she smiled at something Vanessa said, it was Marcus's smile looking back at him. "Vanessa," his voice was barely a whisper. "Who are those children?" Vanessa's entire body went rigid. She didn't turn around, didn't look at him, but he saw her hands clench the clipboard. "My children. They look like me. I need to finish my rounds." Vanessa moved toward the door. "Vanessa, wait." Marcus's monitor began beeping erratically. "Are they mine?" She stopped at the door, her back still to him. "That's none of your concern." "None of my—" Marcus felt rage and hope and terror all warring inside his chest. "Vanessa, I saw them. They're the right age. They look exactly like me. Are they my children?" Finally, she turned to face him, and for the first time since his surgery, Marcus saw emotion break through her professional mask. Not sadness, not longing, fury. "You gave up any rights to them when you called me Barren and threw me away like defective goods. You were pregnant when you left me. I found out 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized. And you never told me? Vanessa, please, I have a right to know. You have no rights where my children are concerned." She moved back into the room, closing the door behind her with controlled violence. "You gave up those rights when you decided I was worthless without a functioning reproductive system. I was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong about everything. Yes, you were. But being wrong doesn't give you retroactive parental rights." Marcus stared at her, seeing not just the successful surgeon, but the woman who raised his children alone, who built an incredible life while carrying the secret of their existence. "What are they like?" he asked quietly. Vanessa's expression softened slightly.
Emma is an artist. She sees the world in colors and shapes and emotions. Lucas is the leader, brilliant with numbers and logic, reads everything she can get his hands on. Olivia is the gentle one. She loves books and stories, asks thoughtful questions about everything. They sound incredible. They are. I've raised them to be kind, intelligent, and independent. They don't need anything from you. But I need them. The admission was raw and honest. Vanessa, I've missed 8 years of their lives. Please don't make me miss any more. It's not about what you need, Marcus. It's about what's best for them. And what's best for them? Growing up without knowing their father? Growing up without being hurt by their father. Vanessa's voice was fierce with protective anger. You destroyed me when you left. You said things that still hurt to think about. I won't let you do that to them. I would never hurt them. You said you'd never hurt me, too. Marcus had no answer for that. What can I prove I've changed? Nothing. There's nothing you can do. Those children have a life, a routine, a sense of security that doesn't include you. I won't disrupt that for your peace of mind. With that, Vanessa walked out, leaving Marcus alone with the weight of 9 years of mistakes crushing down on him.
Sometimes the truth is written in the eyes of children. 2 weeks later, Marcus had been discharged from the hospital and was slowly adjusting to life as a cardiac patient. The enforced rest gave him far too much time to think about what he'd learned. He couldn't stop obsessing over the 3 children he'd glimpsed in that hospital hallway. Against his better judgment, and without Catherine's knowledge, he hired a private investigator. What he discovered both amazed and devastated him. Vanessa had struggled tremendously in the early years, medical school while pregnant with triplets, giving birth 6 weeks premature, raising 3 babies while studying for her boards. Her mother had moved from Chicago to help, sacrificing her own retirement to care for her grandchildren while Vanessa completed her education. The photos the investigator provided showed the progression of their lives. Vanessa looking exhausted but determined at her medical school graduation, holding 3 toddlers. The children's first day of school, all 3 of them brilliant and beautiful. Family holidays spent with Vanessa's mother, who had clearly been the father figure in their lives until her death 2 years ago. Marcus studied every photo with growing regret and admiration. Vanessa had built an incredible life for herself and their children. She'd become not just a doctor, but one of the most respected cardiac surgeons in the country. The children were thriving, honor students, involved in extracurricular activities, confident and well-adjusted despite growing up without their father. They didn't need him. Vanessa had been right about that. But that didn't stop him from wanting to be part of their lives. 3 days after receiving the investigator's final report, Marcus found himself parked across the street from Vanessa's house at 7:30 in the morning. He told himself he just wanted to see them, just catch a glimpse of his children going about their normal lives. But when the front door opened and 3 children emerged, backpacks slung over their shoulders, laughing at something Emma had said, Marcus felt his heart clench with an emotion he couldn't name. These were his children, living, breathing, brilliant children who didn't even know his name. The passenger door of his car suddenly opened, and Vanessa slid into the seat beside him, her face a mask of controlled fury. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Marcus jumped, startled. I wanted to see them. Just see them." "So you're stalking my children?" "Our children. And I wasn't stalking. I was just—" "That's literally the definition of stalking, Marcus." Vanessa's voice was dangerously low. "How did you even get my address?" Marcus had the grace to look ashamed. "I hired an investigator." "You what?" "I needed to know about their lives, about what I missed." "Vanessa, I've seen the photos, the school records, everything. You've done an incredible job raising them." "I didn't do it for your approval." "I know. You did it because you're an amazing mother, but they're my children too, and I have a right to know them." "You have no rights where they're concerned, and if you don't stop this harassment, I'll get a restraining order." "Harassment?
I'm trying to figure out how to be their father. You should have thought about that 9 years ago." Marcus got out of the car, and Vanessa saw how much the heart attack had changed him. He looked older, more fragile, but also somehow more real than the polished CEO she'd once been married to. "Vanessa, please, I know I have no right to ask for anything from you, but I'm asking anyway. Let me meet them. Let me try to be part of their lives." "Why? So you can hurt them the way you hurt me?" "I would never hurt them. You said you'd never hurt me either." Vanessa turned and walked back to her house, leaving Marcus standing in the street with the weight of his mistakes crushing down on him. If this story is touching your soul, my beautiful family, please take just 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue sharing these powerful stories of redemption and love. Thank you for being here with us. Now, let's continue. 3 days later, Marcus was back in the ER with unstable angina. The stress of discovering the children and wrestling with the implications had triggered another cardiac event. "We need Dr. Sinclair," Catherine insisted when they arrived. "She saved his life before." When Vanessa entered the ER and saw Marcus on the gurney, she felt her professional resolve waver. He looked terrified. "This is about the children, isn't it?" she said quietly, approaching his bedside. "You're stressed because you found out about them." "I can't stop thinking about them, about you, about what I threw away." "So you're having a heart attack about it. Very mature." "Vanessa, I know I don't deserve it, but if something happens to me during this procedure, I need to see them. Just once. Please, don't let me die without knowing them." Vanessa felt her resolve cracking. "If you survive this procedure, if you recover completely, I'll consider letting you meet them. Once, supervised. That's all I can promise." "Thank you. But, Marcus, if you hurt them in any way, if you disappoint them or make them feel unwanted, I will make sure you never see them again. Do you understand?" "I understand." The procedure was successful, and 2 weeks later, Vanessa found herself at Golden Gate Park with 3 children who were about to meet their father for the first time. "Kids, this is Mr. Donovan, a colleague of mine from the hospital," Vanessa said as Marcus approached the picnic table. "Hello," he said, his voice slightly rough with emotion. "It's very nice to meet you." "Are you a doctor too?" Lucas asked with typical directness. "No, I run a technology company." "That sounds boring," Emma announced with 8-year-old honesty. Marcus laughed, a genuine, delighted sound. "It can be boring sometimes. What do you like to do that's not boring?" For the next hour, Marcus talked with his children about their interests, their dreams, their lives. He was amazed by their intelligence, their creativity, their obvious close bond with each other and with Vanessa. When it was time to leave, Emma impulsively hugged Marcus goodbye. "Thank you for talking to us like real people. Some adults talk to kids like we're stupid, but you didn't do that." After they left, Marcus sat alone at the picnic table, processing what had just happened. He'd met his children, really met them, connected with them, and for the first time in 9 years, he understood what he'd actually lost.
Some endings are really beginnings in disguise. 6 months later, Marcus had been secretly meeting with the children once a week. Each encounter was supervised by Vanessa, but gradually becoming more relaxed and natural. He'd attended Lucas's science fair, gone to Emma's art show, listened to Olivia read her original stories. Each meeting made him fall more in love with these incredible children, and more aware of what an idiot he'd been to miss their first 8 years. Today was different, though. Today, Emma had asked him point blank why he looked so much like them. "Mr. Donovan, are you related to us somehow?" Marcus had looked at Vanessa, who nodded slightly, permission to tell the truth. "Actually, I am related to you. I'm your father." The 3 children stared at him in various stages of shock, confusion, and dawning understanding. "Our father?" Lucas asked with characteristic precision. "The one who couldn't be part of our lives?" "That's right, because I made some very bad choices a long time ago." You didn't know we existed? Emma's eyes grew wide. No, your mother and I got divorced before she knew she was pregnant with you. The children processed this information with remarkable maturity, asking thoughtful questions about why their parents had divorced, what this meant for their future. Are you going to be our dad now? Olivia asked finally. I'd like to be, if you want me to be. What about your other family? Lucas asked, ever practical. Mom told us you have a wife and a baby coming. That's changing, but no matter what happens with my other relationships, you three will always be my children. Now, Marcus sat in his lawyer's office, signing divorce papers from Catherine. The decision hadn't been easy. Catherine was pregnant, and leaving her made him look cruel in the eyes of society, but he couldn't keep living a lie. He'd realized, too late, that he'd spent 9 years trying to build a life with someone he didn't really love, and seeing Vanessa again, meeting their children, had reminded him what real love felt like. She's going to fight you, his lawyer warned, publicly, messily. I know, but I can't stay married to Catherine just because she's pregnant. That evening, Marcus stood on Vanessa's front porch, more nervous than he'd been in his life. The children are inside, Vanessa said, opening the door. They know you're coming. Vanessa, I need to tell you something first. What? I filed for divorce from Catherine yesterday. Vanessa stared. Why? Because I don't love her. I never loved her. I married her because she fit the profile of what I thought I needed, but there's no real connection between us. Marcus, I know what you're thinking, that I'm having some kind of crisis, that I'm making emotional decisions because of my heart attack, but this is the clearest I've been in 9 years. What are you saying? I'm saying I want a chance to earn your forgiveness. I want to be a real father to our children, and if you let me, I want to try to rebuild what we lost. Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. You hurt me, Marcus, deeply. The things you said, they're not easy to forget. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making up for them if you give me the chance. Before Vanessa could respond, the front door opened and 3 children appeared. We've been talking, Lucas announced with formal seriousness, and we've decided we want you to be our dad, but we have conditions. What conditions? Asked Marcus. You have to come to all our school events, Emma said. You have to teach Lucas about business, Emma continued. And you have to listen to my stories, Olivia added. And you have to be nice to Mom, Lucas finished with protective firmness. She's the best mom in the world. If you're mean to her, we don't want you around. Marcus felt his throat close with emotion. Those are very reasonable conditions. I accept them all. Good, Emma said with satisfaction. Now, do you want to see my new painting? It's about families that get put back together. As Marcus followed his children into the house, with Vanessa walking beside him, he felt something he hadn't experienced in 9 years. Hope. Real hope. Based not on social expectations or financial security, but on love, forgiveness, and the possibility of second chances. The strongest hearts are often the most broken ones that refused to stop beating. The wedding was small and intimate, held in Vanessa's backyard under the oak tree where the children used to play. Marcus had spent the past 6 months proving his commitment, showing up for every school event, every soccer game, every art show. He'd been patient with Vanessa's lingering trust issues, consistent in his devotion to the children, and completely honest about his past mistakes. The divorce from Catherine had been ugly and public. Tabloid stories about the billionaire CEO who'd abandoned his pregnant wife for his ex. But Marcus had weathered the storm with grace, focusing on building relationships with his children and slowly earning back Vanessa's trust. Do you, Marcus, take Vanessa to be your wife, to love and support her dreams, to respect her independence, and to be a true partner in all aspects of your life together? I do, with all my heart, for all my life. Do you, Vanessa, take Marcus to be your husband, trusting in his growth and change, believing in his commitment to you and your children, and opening your heart to love again? I do. As they kissed to seal their remarriage, 3 children cheered from the front row. Ladies and gentlemen, the officiant announced, I present to you the Donovan family, Marcus, Vanessa, Emma, Lucas, and Olivia. Later, as they danced under string lights in the garden, Marcus marveled at how different this felt from both their first wedding and his marriage to Catherine. "Any regrets?" Vanessa asked as they swayed together. "Only one, that it took me 9 years to find my way back to you. Maybe we both needed those 9 years. Maybe we needed to become the people we are now before we could make this work. Maybe, but I'm grateful for every day from now on." Vanessa smiled, seeing the truth of that commitment in his eyes. "I love you, Marcus Donovan. I love you too, Dr. Vanessa Donovan. Thank you for giving me a second chance I didn't deserve. Thank you for becoming someone who did deserve it." As the celebration continued around them, Marcus watched his children dance with their cousins, their grandparents, their friends. Emma had painted a special portrait for the wedding, a tree with strong roots and spreading branches representing their blended family. Lucas had given a speech about second chances and the importance of forgiveness that left half the guests in tears. Olivia had written a story about a prince who learned that true treasure wasn't gold or kingdoms, but the love of the people who mattered most. Marcus's heart was full in a way it had never been during his first marriage or his years with Catherine. This wasn't love based on social compatibility or family expectations. This was love earned through growth, forgiveness, and the daily choice to put family above everything else. "Dad," the words still made Marcus's heart skip. He turned to find Olivia approaching with her characteristic thoughtful expression. "Yes, sweetheart? I'm glad you found your way back to us." "Me too, Olivia. Me too." As the celebration continued, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them all to this moment. He'd lost a lot: his marriage to Catherine, some social status, the approval of certain family members. But he'd gained something infinitely more valuable. He'd gained a real family built on love, respect, and genuine connection. He'd gained the chance to be the husband Vanessa deserved and the father his children needed. Most importantly, he'd gained the wisdom to recognize what truly mattered in life. Not what you could acquire or achieve, but who you loved and who loved you back. Sometimes the greatest gifts come from our greatest losses. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are also capable of the most profound change. And sometimes love really can conquer all. Not the easy love of compatible strangers, but the hard-won love of two people who've seen each other at their worst and chosen to believe in each other's best. Marcus and Vanessa had learned that the hard way, but their love was stronger for having survived the test. In the end, the woman Marcus had called Barren had given him the richest life imaginable, a life full of purpose, love, and the daily miracle of being part of something bigger than himself. And that was worth more than all the social status and business success in the world. If this story is touching your soul, my beautiful family, please take just 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue sharing these powerful stories of redemption and love. Thank you for being here with us.